check.
Huh?
Should I do manual?
I mean, can we speed things up just a little bit?
Just recording in the hallway right now.
Oh, no. Okay, look, so you've already got it. I'm gonna roll something back real quick, okay? Okay?
Sure. All right, sounds good. Yeah.
Here we go.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Roll. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. I'm Deputy Chief Aaron Hughley. I oversee our investigations division and serve as our agency's public information officer. Standing here with me today is Southfield Police Chief Elvin Barren, Deputy Chief Jeffrey Jagowski, who oversees our patrol division, and Detective Sergeant Jared Womble. Today, Chief Barren will update the public regarding the unfortunate loss of life that occurred on Saturday, January 10th at approximately 2:35 a.m. at the Bloom Lounge here in the city of Southfield. I ask that you please hold all of your questions until the conclusion of the press briefing and turn off or mute any cell phones or other electronic devices. Also, please wait to be escorted back down to the main lobby. A press packet is available on the back table, which includes a USB drive of all files presented here today. Also, for record-keeping purposes, we ask that you complete our media sign-in sheet, and without any further delay, Chief Barren.
And thank you, Deputy Chief. Certainly thanking our media as well for being here. I do want to start off by reminding some of our media partners the importance of having just a little bit of patience. You know, anytime there's an incident of this magnitude, it's important to allow time for the Southfield Police Department to interview witnesses, collect evidence, more importantly, to advise families of the status of our investigation before the information is related to the public. And that's just out of respect for the families. So again, thank you for your patience, but do understand before we come forward with information to the public, we want to make sure that whatever I put out to the community is accurate information, and it does take time to investigate these incidents and then give the community and the families the information properly. I did have an opportunity to meet with the family of the deceased woman. Certainly a very difficult conversation, but a conversation that had to take place. We were able to share the details of our investigation, ultimately share with him the prosecutor's decision. What I will say, very strong man, and although I won't share the details of our conversation, I will say that I have a lot of respect for him. Before outlining details of this incident, I want to begin by acknowledging the tragic loss of life and the injury that occurred in the parking lot outside of Bloom Southfield. Our thoughts are with the families, loved ones, and community members affected by this incident, and we recognize the profound impact this has had on everyone involved. I will now provide an overview of what transpired based on our investigation. The fatal shooting occurred early Saturday morning, January 10th, in the parking lot of Bloom Southfield, located at 25080 Southfield Road, at approximately 2:35 a.m. Southfield officers were directing traffic at the intersection of 10 Mile Road and Southfield Road due to an unrelated traffic accident when they heard multiple gunshots coming from the parking lot of Bloom Southfield. Southfield officers immediately left that assignment and responded to the location of the gunfire. Upon arrival, Southfield officers located a 33-year-old woman, a resident of the city of Detroit, who was later identified as the deceased female, lying on the ground, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Southfield officers also located a second woman, a 36-year-old resident of the city of Detroit, who had sustained a gunshot wound to her leg. Officers immediately rendered medical aid, CPR, and performed on the deceased woman due to the severity of her injuries. And the tourniquet was applied to the second woman's leg to control the bleeding. Both women were transported by Southfield EMS to Providence Hospital. The 33-year-old woman was pronounced deceased at 3:10 a.m. by Providence Hospital physicians. The second woman was treated for non-life-threatening gunshot wound to her leg and is currently recovering from her injuries. This investigation revealed that this incident began with a domestic-related physical altercation involving several individuals in the parking lot of the establishment. During the altercation, the decedent's sister and her sister's husband were engaged in a physical dispute, during which time the sister sustained a head injury. The situation escalated when the decedent became engaged in a physical altercation with her brother-in-law. That conversation then shifted to a physical fight between the decedent and her brother-in-law's sister, who is the second woman later struck by gunfire. As a result of that fight, The second woman sustained a head injury. Bloom Bar personnel, security, responded to the disturbance in the parking lot and began assisting the injured woman with head lacerations. While security personnel were providing aid, witnesses reported hearing the decedent state, "I'm going to kill him." The security guard then observed the decedent walking towards him while holding an object initially believed to be a knife. The security guard drew his firearm and instructed her to back away. He then determined the object was a wrench and attempted to reholster his weapon. The decedent dropped the wrench, continued toward the security guard, and removed a handgun from a cloth holster located inside of her waistband. According to witnesses, she then raised the handgun towards her chest, and she was approximately 1 to 2 feet away from the security guard. The security guard discharged his firearm, firing multiple rounds and striking the decedent 6 times. The second woman, who was injured earlier during the physical altercation, was inadvertently struck in the leg by gunfire due to her close proximity to the incident. Following the shooting, the security guard secured the woman's firearm and immediately turned it over to responding Southfield police officers. Southfield detectives confirmed that the handgun recovered from the decedent was a Sig Sauer P365 9mm handgun, which is registered to her. Records further indicate that she possessed a valid concealed pistols license issued on March 28, 2024. Southfield office also confiscated the security guard's firearm, identified as a Shadow Systems DR 9mm handgun. The security guard possesses a valid CPL, and he has approximately 10 years experience in working in private security. And I say that for a reason, because there were reports and rumors that he's affiliated with law enforcement agency. So for the record, he is not a police officer in any capacity, but a private security guard. This incident was thoroughly investigated by the Southfield Police Department and reviewed by the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. After reviewing the facts and evidence, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office determined that no criminal charges will be issued against the security guard involved in this incident. While the criminal review has concluded, this remains a tragic incident that resulted in the loss of life and injury to another individual. We recognize the impact this has had on families involved and on our community. The Southfield Police Department is committed to transparency and accountability, and we will continue to cooperate with any additional reviews that may occur. At this time, the criminal investigation is considered complete. So at this time, I'm going to turn your attention to the screen. We'll show the evidence that was collected, both the security guard's handgun, which is to the far with the gold, and then closer to this podium will be the weapon from the deceased woman.
So the one on the left is the security guard, and the one on the right is the woman's right.
That's correct. And so I'll give you time to focus back to the podium. And at this time, I will open up the floor for questions.
Why hasn't the name of the security guard been released?
So no charges have been authorized to file against him, and therefore we will not release his name.
Did he have a criminal record?
He does not have a criminal record. Yes, ma'am.
Did the deceased woman have a criminal record?
No.
No. How many shots were fired total?
8.
And how many hit the decedent?
6.
Did the decedent fire her gun at all?
No.
Where was the gun found?
So, as I reported in my remarks, the security guard confiscated once it fell to the ground, and then he handed it over to responding Southfield Police Department as they arrived on scene.
At any point in the night, did security call police?
No calls were made to police. As I mentioned in my remarks, our Southfield police officers were at 10 Mile and Southfield Road. They heard gunfire, and they responded to the parking lot after hearing those gunshots.
Could it be said that the security guard acted in self-defense, or has that not been determined?
So, again, I've outlined the nature, the circumstances. We presented this information to the prosecutor, and based on the evidence collected, no charges will be filed against the security personnel at this time.
So what's next for the business?
So what happens for business, because now there's a lot of concerns. Obviously, I've seen some media reports of some neighbors that live nearby are concerned about the business. So the next steps for the city of Southfield, and certainly some of our elected officials are part of this. We will be looking at having conversations with the owners of the establishment to determine, what types of activities have occurred here, what things could be done better. Certainly, the Southfield Police Department has police officers who could give advice on how to better secure your premises. When I'm talking about lighting, I'm talking about better camera placement, because even when you look at the circumstances involved in this case, we would have liked to have additional camera angles in the parking lot. Although we did recover some images in the parking lot, we would like to have more, and again, better lighting and better quality of cameras. So these are some of the things that we will discuss with the establishment. But again, a tragic loss of life, and again, with condolences for the families involved.
So you do plan on having conversations and communicating with the establishment as well as people in the neighborhood surrounding?
Yes, that is the next steps per city government to engage in conversations to address some of the concerns associated with this incident, and then just the nature of bars and restaurants as a whole, and what types of patrons that they draw.
Outside of this incident, has there been any other concerns or complaints about this?
We've responded to the establishment for typical bar-related things, fights, parking complaints. There was another shooting incident in that parking lot. Not necessarily we're able to confirm it was part of the establishment, because the parking lot is shared by other businesses. But we have responded there for trouble with customers as well. So a variety of calls for service to the establishment. Nothing systemic, but rather a cause for service generally common with these type of establishments.
How much time lapsed between the initial argument outside and the shots fired?
So the initial argument, again, started with a husband and wife, as I mentioned, then escalated to our now decedent and her brother-in-law, and then from there, the brother-in-law's sister, and then our now decedent having altercation. So I estimate somewhere around 15 minutes or so of confrontation in the parking lot. Any other questions?
I have a few more. Is there an explanation for sort of why the argument moved from the initial spot outside of the doors to the parking?
Well, based on the evidence collected, it appeared that the incident initiated outside as far as the physical confrontation. And then it just made its way around the parking lot. But, unfortunately, these things have occurred. And again, we really, and I think you mentioned it before, would like people to call 911 when arguments first develop. That way it gives us an opportunity to maybe get there and stop the confrontation at argument, or at worst case, the physical confrontation, but giving law enforcement an opportunity to intervene. But as I said before, we were notified when the gunshots were heard by Southfield police officers who were in close proximity.
Was security protecting anyone at the time?
No, the security were looking to aid the injured woman. As I mentioned in my remarks, there was a woman who sustained a head injury. Ultimately, she was shot inadvertently by gunfire. But I think the security's initial response was to aid the woman who was injured, and then the confrontation developed.
How many witnesses were interviewed?
Well, I don't have the intimate details in front of me, but there were a lot of witnesses interviewed.
Does security have jurisdiction over the parking lot?
Generally, security personnel are advised to stay within the establishment. But again, our investigation revealed that the security guard left the establishment to aid the injured woman.
You mentioned that she was shot 2 to 3 feet away, and somehow he managed to injure another victim. What made you decline to file for reckless discharge charges?
So the Southfield Police Department presented our case to the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. They are the charging decision. Now, to answer your question, so that is clear, based on our investigation, we are in alignment in the decision. But again, I won't answer questions specifically to charging decisions as we don't make them.
Was the security guard clocked in at the time?
Yes, he was on duty, if you will. Any more questions?
Do we know why security followed at that? She wasn't thrown down where the shooting occurred. Why did security follow?
So as I mentioned earlier, the security saw the confrontation. They recognized there was a woman who was injured, and then they made a decision to go aid the woman.
So where she was injured is where the shooting occurred?
That's correct. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Thank you all.